Hey, I'm Shay and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about how I get out of a rut or a reset day in my life. Lately, I've been feeling like I'm in a bit of a rut, a bit of a life slump, if you will. I think that it is something that happens to me when there is a lot of outside noise, which I think there's just a lot of outside noise right now in the United States in general, and just events in my life and things like that that are contributing to it. And then also when there's a lot of internal noise. So if I'm feeling overly anxious, or if I'm feeling really down or depressed, if I'm going through anything mental health wise, I think all of that contributes to feeling like I'm in a rut. And lately, I have just been feeling like I am stuck in a bit of a slump. I think that also really contributes to my reading. If I am in a slump in my life, I'm generally in a reading slump, and I am ready to get back to all of my fun spring and summer reads. I'm ready to go outside again to kind of wake up and defrost from all of the seasonal things that happen during winter and feeling more down and more stuck inside and things like that, to kind of let that go and start a new chapter, a new season as we are coming out of the spring and kind of into summer. So let's talk about what I do to get out of a rut. I think the short answer is that I really focus on my rhythms and sequences, and I also focus a lot on my nourishment. What does it look like to nourish my mind? What does it look like to nourish my body? What does it look like to set myself up in a way that gives me the things that I need to have the most successful day or feel like I'm thriving? And so my rhythms and sequences. So for some people, they call these routines. For me, it's a little bit different because rhythms are the things that come to me naturally. When I wake up in the morning, what's the first thing I'm going to do naturally? If there's no pressure, no time constraint, if I'm just chilling and living my best life, what does it look like for me when I get up in the morning to just naturally move through my day? An example of this would be when I wake up in the morning, I go to the bathroom, then I go downstairs and make myself something to eat for breakfast. Like, these are the things I'm going to do without like a checklist or a to-do list of what I need to do that day. And I use those rhythms as a foundation to cause me to do the things that I know that I need to do in order to set myself up for success overall. A rhythm is a lot looser and a lot more based on me versus a routine being based on time or something outside of me. Generally, a routine is more of a fixed set of actions, and I do incorporate that into my rhythms. And the way that I do that is by including sequences. I learned about sequences from Crystal Wang on Instagram. Her @ is ADHD.crystal, and she talks a lot about hacks for people with ADHD to be able to move through life a little bit easier in a way that feels more natural to them. And while I don't have ADHD, a lot of the things that she is talking about are related to executive function, and I do struggle a lot with my executive function. There are a lot of things that can cause people to struggle with executive function. ADHD is definitely one of them, but also depression, anxiety, being overly tired can cause you to struggle with executive function, trauma, OCD. There are a lot of different reasons why somebody might struggle. So because I'm somebody who struggles with executive function, sometimes I find it really helpful to use hacks that are created for people with ADHD in order to address the issues that I'm having with executive function. And sequences are something that have worked really, really well for me. So sequences essentially take away the time-based element of things that you have to get done, but maybe don't want to do or don't come as naturally to you. And they instead use triggers as a way to encourage you to get things done that again don't come as naturally or aren't as easy for you to complete. For example, I was talking to you about my rhythms and the things that come naturally to me when I wake up in the morning. I use those things as my triggers for the things that don't come as naturally. So I said, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is go to the bathroom. So because I know I'm going to do that every morning, I say, while you're in the bathroom, why don't you do these things? And then my sequences trigger a domino effect that allow me to move through my morning in a way that is slow and natural and feels good to me, but it incorporates all of the pieces that don't come as easily. So when I get up in the morning, I'll go to the bathroom, and while I'm in there, I will brush my teeth, I will wash my face and put on sunscreen, I will take my medication, and I lump that all in with the time while I'm in the bathroom because I'm already in there and I do those things. And then I come downstairs to cook my breakfast, and I have that trigger a new set of events. So now let's kind of go through like a step by step of what I do whenever I am getting out of a rut. This will start the night before if I'm on it, but I will tell you sometimes when I'm in a rut, it does not feel natural for me to start the night before. Sometimes I just have to jump into it the morning of. So I'm going to give you all of the bonus step-by-steps of the things that I will do in a perfect world. And every now and then it's a perfect world. Everything aligns and I do it exactly like this. But most of the time I hop in on the step where I'm able to get in. The thing that feels the most accessible to me, that is where I dive in. So in a perfect world, on the night before I'm going to do my reset to get out of a rut, I do 4 things. And sometimes, like I said, I'll do all 4 of these things. Sometimes I will do a half of one. Sometimes I will do none of them. So it just depends on how much bandwidth I have. But if I have enough to do them all, it's really helpful to do them all. The very first thing I'll do is the clipboard method. When I was in high school, I called this a to-do journal. It is essentially a to-do list that is related to my routine or the things that I need to get done that allow me to mark things off that I know that I'm going to do, that set me up to have that dopamine reward of completing a task. It also helps me stay on track with my sequences and remembering what each piece of my rhythm is meant to trigger. So on the clipboard, I will, number one, start by writing out my rhythms. These are the things that come naturally to me. So I just go through my mornings that I've had recently, as far back as I can think of them, and think, what are the things I'm naturally doing when I wake up every morning, even though I haven't been on a set routine or doing the same things every day? What are the things that seem to come naturally? Once I write in all of those things, I go back and think, what are the things that I need to be doing in the mornings to set myself up for success? So these are things like taking my medications and my vitamins, going for a walk or getting some sun on my face, being outside. Meditation is a huge deal for me, and I don't always remember to do that. So what does it look like to put my meditation in somewhere? So I'll go to each of the pieces of my rhythm and I will add in what sequences I want that piece of my rhythm to trigger. Once I have added all of those, the most important part of my clipboard method, I would say, is to make it as cute as I can. So I really like when things are rainbow. So you'll see behind me, like a lot of my books are in color sequence. I really like when things are colorful and bright and are really aesthetically pleasing to me. So I'll go in and I will add the little emojis to it. I will bold things or italicize them, put them in different colors, and make it look a way that makes me want to look at it in the morning to encourage me to pick it up when I wake up. Why do I call it the clipboard method? Because after I do all of this, I print out this sheet of paper, or sometimes I'll write it on a sheet of paper and just use different color markers and pens and things like that to make it cute. And then I print it out and I put the piece of paper on a clipboard. The reason why this is really important to me is because the number one thing that I do in the morning that throws me off and keeps me stuck in a rut is getting on my phone first thing. When I get on my phone first thing, I know that I'm going to want to scroll more. I'm going to want to spend more time on my apps. I'm going to want to watch more YouTube videos or TikToks or be on Instagram or whatever. And those things become major, major, major time sucks for me. And so it's not that I don't like doing them or that I don't want to do those things, but it's that when I do them first thing in the morning, number one, it feels like it throws off my dopamine receptors, if you will. I don't know what the science is behind that. There probably is some, but it feels like when I reward myself by scrolling, then actual things that would feel rewarding to me, like getting up out of bed and completing my rhythms and doing them in a way that feel like they set me up for success for my day, they don't feel as good when I've started by scrolling. So when I print out my rhythms, I add in my sequences and put them on a clipboard, then I am not having to reach for my phone to figure out what to do next. It's on a written piece of paper, and that makes a huge deal to me. I also really just like a cute clipboard. I like a highlighter. I like a colored pen. And so I know that if I do that, I'll be able to mark off my things with my cute little writing utensils, and those things are going to make me feel good. And so what are the least expensive things, the things that are cheap time-wise, cheap money-wise, that I can do in order to make myself feel like I've done something really good, or make me feel successful, or make me feel happy or good about myself. And so I know that putting this on a clipboard, marking it off in a cute highlighter is an easy way to do that. The clipboard is something that I use as long as I need it. So if I need it for just the dopamine of marking things off, if I need it to help me remember my sequences, what are the things that I'm supposed to do at each point in my rhythm, I will use it for that long. Eventually, the sequences become second nature. And then when I go to the bathroom, I automatically take my medicine. And once I get to that place where it's become second nature, I'll stop using it. When it stops bringing me joy, I'll stop using it. But it's something that as long as I need it, I'll use it. The next thing I do the night before, if I have the foresight to do it, is I will take a really good shower. The better the shower, the better the outcome for me. So if I have the bandwidth to do an everything shower, that's what I do. I will take my time. I will wash my hair. I will shave my legs. I will do all of the things to have a really good shower. And then once I get out of the shower, I will try, if I can, to put on matching PJs. If I have something clean and ready, I don't go out of my way to do it, but if I have something available, then I'll definitely put on matching PJs. I will tell you, there's something about waking up in the morning fresh and clean in my matching set of pajamas that makes me feel way more capable of attacking my day head on than when I am a little frumpier, I guess. And so if that's not something that works for you, definitely don't do it. But for me, I know that when I feel better about myself, I feel better about the possibility that I will be able to do something that causes a positive outcome. I think that this kind of goes back to the broken window theory, which is the idea that if you walked past a house with a broken window, you would be more likely to litter or to not treat that house as well because of the fact that it looks like the people who live there don't care about it because there's a broken window, versus if you were walking past a house that had a pristine lawn and there were flowers planted in the front and everything was really well groomed and well taken care of, you would assume that somebody cares about that space, which automatically causes you to care about that space and to treat that space well. That's how I feel about my spaces. That's how I feel about my body. When I go and take a shower and deep condition my hair and I wear matching pajamas and make sure that everything is, I've done my skincare, I'm moisturized, all of those things, and I've already taken good care of myself, it begins my momentum to continue to take good care of myself. So that's why I do these pieces. Maybe those things would work for you too, but if that's not the same for you, then of course, like, you could totally skip this step. After I've done that, taken my good shower, put on my matching pajamas, the next thing I do is I spend time planning only the rewards portion of my next day. So when I get up in the morning, I work through my rhythms and my sequences, I've gotten a good start to the day. What are some things I'm going to do to reward myself for getting up, for getting ready, for working through my rhythms? And usually there are a couple of things that I know are tried and true for me. So the two things that almost always work as a reward for me are an audiobook and some kind of like sweet treat drink type thing. So like a matcha or a coffee from a coffee shop. I will say honorable mention would be a book from Barnes and Noble, like going to a bookstore and browsing and picking out a book and bringing something home. Like those are treats that almost always work for me. And so I try to incorporate those into my next day in order to motivate me to push through and get out of my rut. I spend some time planning those rewards. I feel like this is really valuable, and the reason why I usually pick an audiobook is because it's something that I can do while I'm doing some of the steps to get out of my rut. I can listen to it while I'm working through my sequences. I can listen to it while I'm cleaning up my space. And so having that as a reward, oh, you can start this book once you start putting away laundry, you can start this book once you insert thing here, is a big motivator for me. And so having it already set the night before, this is the book I'm going to listen to, is usually really helpful for me. I try to pick a new or anticipated release or something that I'm really looking forward to reading, so that the desire to read that book will push me to do some of the things that maybe I don't want to do as much. The last thing that I do the night before is that I try to go to bed at a decent hour. The best foundation for having a successful day the next day, it starts the night before. And so sometimes I don't have the bandwidth to do any of the prior things. I don't have the bandwidth to take a shower, to put on clean pajamas, to plan my clipboard in advance, to pick out my rewards. Like, I don't have any bandwidth to do any of that. So I try at the very least to get in bed at an hour that will be conducive to me being able to wake up in the morning and work through all of these pieces that help me get out of a rut. So those are all of my kind of bonus activities. If you have the bandwidth to do any of them the night before, if I have the bandwidth to do any of them the night before, I try to do as many of those as I can because they're really helpful to me. But if I don't have it, then I just don't do any of them, and I start the next day when I wake up in the morning. And so this would be kind of where my true get out of a rut routine starts. So the morning of, I use the 3-2-1 method to get out of bed. I think Mel Robbins is also recently talking about this, and I think she uses from 5, like the 5-4-3-2-1 method. It's something that, like, I know therapists have been using for a really long time. It's something that is popular in like the mental health self-help community. But the 3-2-1 method is as simple as it sounds. It's counting down from 3 in order to be able to get up and do the thing you need to do. So I know that if I wake up and I stay in bed, I'm going to pick up my phone, I'm going to start scrolling, I'm going to get distracted, and distraction is the enemy of getting out of the rut for me. And so in order to stop myself from picking up that phone and getting distracted, when I wake up and it's time to get up, instead of sitting there and thinking, oh, I don't feel like doing this, I don't want to get up right now, I don't want to get out of my bed, my bed is so cozy, I just want to stay here, I want to scroll on my phone, I don't give myself the time to think through all of that. I count down from 3 and I get up. So I will literally, sometimes I have to do it out loud. I will literally say to myself, 3, 2, 1, go. And as soon as I get to go, I get up and get out of my bed. What this does is it takes away my ability to think long and hard about what I don't want to do, because a lot of times the anticipation of it or the anxiety over it is way worse than getting up and doing the thing. So when I count down and just get up, I don't have the time to make it a huge deal in my head before I get up and actually do the thing. I just get up and do it. So once I do the 3, 2, 1 method and have hopefully not gotten on my phone, I move on to the next step. But I will say, if you wake up and you accidentally find yourself scrolling on your phone, doing the same thing you normally do, you find yourself feeling stuck, it's hard to get out of bed, the 3, 2, 1 method works at any point. So it's not that you have to wake up and the moment you wake up, 3, 2, 1, go, get out of bed, you're on it, you're going through your rhythm, you're going through your sequences. If you get up and you get on your phone, when you realize this is not what I want to be doing. What I want to be doing is actively working to get out of this rut at that moment. Count down from 3, lock your phone, and get up and do the next thing. It works at any point. So if I accidentally get stuck and I start scrolling, I go to my old habits and I do something I don't want to be doing, then I will count down from 3 then and just stop what I'm doing and move on to the thing that I want to be doing in order to get out of my rut or better myself or focus on what I want to be focused on that day. So then the next thing I will do after my 3, 2, 1 moment is I will go to my first part of my rhythm, the thing I'm going to do naturally. And this is where my clipboard would come in. Once I start to do that thing, I will go to my sequences to do after that. And I will work through my morning rhythm. And that is a huge deal for getting me out of a rut, is just going through my morning intentionally versus going through it passively. Once I go through it intentionally, I'm really setting myself up to have a good day. If I didn't do my clipboard the night before, I don't have anything to reference in order to move through it. I just try to remember what were the last sequences that I had attached to this part of my rhythm. So I go through my rhythm naturally and I think, while I'm in here in the bathroom, is there anything else I could do to make my day a little bit easier, make my day a little bit better? And then I will do the things that I know will help. So I will automatically go in and brush my teeth and wash my face and put on sunscreen and take my medicine, and those things that I remember. Oh, the last time I had a sequence after going to the bathroom, this is what it was. Sometimes I get all of the pieces and remember exactly what I was doing. Sometimes I only remember 1 or 2 things, but I think that doing something is generally better than doing nothing. So I'll do what I remember and I'll move on to the next thing. I think a huge part of this is not being overly hard on myself. Instead of being really, really strict about what I need to be doing in order to be successful, I try to just make sure I'm doing something in places where before I was doing nothing, because progress is progress, even if it's small. So while I'm going through my morning, regardless of if I have the clipboard or not, I try to make it really slow and intentional. I'm not rushing myself. I'm not trying to meet any arbitrary goals. I'm just trying to ask myself in each situation, what feels natural here? How do I take good care of myself this morning? And I try to take good care of myself through each step of my rhythm, through each sequence that comes with those rhythms, in order to make sure that I am set up in a way that allows me to have a really good day. But the key here for me is not to put a lot of pressure, to be really gentle with myself, to be really caring, to take good care of myself, because when I am well taken care of, my output tends to match my input. So if I spend a lot of time pouring into myself, then when I pour out, the result is more aligned with what I'm hoping for because I'm poured into, so it's easier to pour out. So then after I finish my morning rhythms, I will sit down and I will make a list. I think for me, I am a list girly. We've talked about it even in this video, I love a multicolored rainbow list. I love a new pen. I love a fresh highlighter. And so I'll sit down and make a list. On this list, I will do a couple of things. The very first thing is I will write places where I got stuck in the morning doing my rhythms and sequences. What are the things that I found difficult or almost trip me up? Because sometimes I will get to a part of my rhythm and I won't have what I need and it'll throw my whole thing off. So I'll come downstairs and it'll be time to make breakfast and I'll open the refrigerator expecting that there are eggs in there, and I ran out of eggs and I forgot and I didn't buy anything. So then my whole morning or my whole rhythm feels thrown off because I can't make breakfast because I had this plan in my head and I didn't have the things I needed to complete it. And so for those things, I usually just skip them for that day, or do something different. So obviously, I'm not going to skip eating that day because I don't have groceries. I'll think, well, when you write your list later, you need to write that you need to get groceries in order to be able to prep your meals or have some ingredients available because this really hung you up today. But today might be the day that you have to do DoorDash for breakfast, or today might be the day where you have to eat a little bit later because we need to go out and pick up a couple of groceries. So when I sit down to write my list, the first thing I write are these are the places where I got stuck, and then on for the things on the list of like this is where I got stuck, I will try to make corresponding to-do list items that help me to be unstuck the next day. So for example, like if I got stuck making breakfast because there were no eggs, I'll put on my list grocery shop today, grab some eggs so that tomorrow you don't get stuck in this place. So I put that on the list, and then I will put things that are going to have a direct impact on my mental health for me to complete them today. So I'm not putting any overly difficult tasks. I'm not putting tasks that take a crazy long time. I'm not putting huge tasks not broken down into pieces. These are things like one load of laundry in order to be able to have clothes to wear so that it's easier to go through your morning because you're not digging through a pile of clean clothes that haven't been put away, or worse, a pile of dirty clothes because you haven't done any laundry. Do one load of laundry, wash it, dry it, put it away so that tomorrow your day is a little bit easier. So that's going to have a direct impact. If I went to the bathroom this morning to wash my face and I couldn't find my sunscreen because everything was a mess, then I'll put on my to-do list, clear your bathroom counter, find your sunscreen, so that tomorrow I'm more likely to want to go into my bathroom. Again, broken window theory, because my bathroom is clean and inviting and has everything I need at my fingertips. So set up your bathroom in a way that is helpful for you in the morning to be able to go through your rhythm. So I will put all of these things on my list, and a lot of them have to do with resetting spaces in order for them to serve me again. Sometimes this takes a day. Sometimes it's just a part of moving through my house, picking up, tidying up, getting back to the place where it is a space that serves the activities that I want to do in that space. Sometimes it has been left without maintenance for a long time. I've been in a slump, or I've been in a depressive episode or something, and it's a lot worse than what I can go through in one day. So if that's the case, I will break it down into really, really small tasks. Like, what does it look like to, like, it, instead of if do all of your laundry and put it away is too big of a task, then I'll break it down to do one load and put that load away. If that's too big of a task, I'll break it down into separate into darks and lights. If that's too big of a task, I'll say pick your favorite outfit out of the dirty clothes and wash that one. So I make it smaller and smaller and smaller until it feels accessible to me. And the other thing I do is I tell myself, don't be scared of asking for help. So sometimes I ask for help just from my husband, like, hey, can you help me by doing a load of laundry, or doing a load of laundry with me, putting away laundry with me while we watch our favorite show, because I need this to get done in order to support me getting out of this rut, but it feels too overwhelming for me to do. Another thing that I'll do often is I will ask my best friend, hey, can we hop on a FaceTime call and do some body doubling? So she'll hang out with me while I do tasks that I wouldn't otherwise want to do, and they go by quicker and I'm able to do them easier because I have somebody talking to me and being with me while I'm working through those tasks. This is also a really good time to use that audiobook that I picked out the night before, or even the morning of, and say, okay, like, I'm really into this audiobook. I can listen to this audiobook as long as I am doing laundry. And then that will allow me to be able to do those things. It is about making it feel accessible to myself. So somebody else who I watch on Instagram, her handle is at Finally Allison, talks about if you keep falling off of the wagon, you are not broken, the wagon is. So what do you need to do to fix your wagon? So if I notice that something isn't working for me, instead of approaching myself with a very accusatory attitude of you should be able to do this, this is not that hard of a task, people do laundry every day. Instead of saying that to myself, I'll say, if you keep falling off this wagon, what's going on with this wagon? How do we make this accessible to you? And then I do whatever I need to do in order to make that thing accessible for myself to help me kind of get out of being stuck in that slump. And most of the time, I'll find that there is an issue that has been consistent for a while that I haven't addressed. And so I'm not doing this thing because of some underlying issue that once I fix it, it's easier for me to keep up and do that thing. It could be something really simple. Maybe I don't like the smell of my laundry soap. I got a new laundry soap. I don't like the smell of it. I don't want to do laundry anymore because I don't like the way my laundry soap smells. And now I have this huge pile of laundry. And so instead of me being like, oh, you already spent money on this, you bought this, it's just the smell of your laundry for a little bit while you use this bottle, just use it and move on. I have compassion for myself. I ask friends or family, hey, do you want this bottle of laundry detergent? Maybe you'll like the way it smells. It's not working for me. I get myself a new bottle of laundry detergent and I move on. I try to approach myself with compassion instead of judgment because I have never gotten out of a rut by judging myself. I've only ever gotten out by being compassionate. So that's a huge thing for me. So once I have worked through my list, so a couple of other things I make sure to put on my list are getting groceries because, like I said, nourishing my body is huge. If I'm eating good food, I feel better. If I feel better, I'm generally doing the things that I want to be doing versus the things that make me feel stuck. So I make sure that ordering groceries or getting groceries is somewhere on the list. And then the other thing that I always put on the list is some sort of physical activity. It might be a 5-minute walk outside, but I make sure to leave the comfort of my home, to leave the space that I've been in, to leave, like not just to be between here and work or whatever, and make an intentional time to go outside, to breathe fresh air, to feel the sun on my face for a little bit, to get a little bit of vitamin D, and be outside. So I also put that on my list. Once I have gone through everything on my list, I do the same thing that I just did with my morning rhythms and sequences, and I do that with my night rhythms and sequences. What is the last thing I remember? If I had the foresight, it'll go on the clipboard and I'll just pull the clipboard back out. But if I didn't, what's the last time I remember having an evening rhythm that worked really well for me? If I don't remember, what are the things I do naturally and what are some extra things I can do to care for myself in between all of the rhythms of the things that I do naturally? And then it starts all over again. I try to go to bed at a decent hour. I try to wake up in the morning at a decent hour and go through these same things until they start to feel second nature to me and I start to feel like I'm slowly but surely climbing out of my rut. I will say that there are some things that I always avoid when I'm trying to get out of a rut. That would be overly difficult tasks or things that I think might cause me to burn out. I try to avoid judging myself or deciding what I think it should be without just acknowledging what it actually is. I try to avoid doing tasks that do not have an immediate impact on my life. So yes, maybe I have been needing to go back to Whole Foods to return an Amazon package that like I've had for weeks and weeks, and I need to go do it before the return window closes. Although that's important, it doesn't have an impact on my life today. And that might be a task that feels so hard that I feel knocked off of my game because I have to go before Whole Foods closes. I have to go while like within this certain window. And I think that sometimes whenever I do things that have a time constraint or I'm reliant on somebody else in order to get that task done, I feel like if they don't do their part, or if I don't show up while they're open, or if I don't meet what the other person or other entity in the situation needs, then I have failed, and I am really avoiding things that make me feel like I'm a failure. So if it involves other people, I generally try to put that off until I'm in my rhythm a little bit better and am able to take on a little bit more. I really, really, really try to avoid anything that puts additional pressure. For this reason, I'll usually try to have a reset day starting on a Friday night and then work through my weekend, so that I don't have to be up at a certain time. I don't have to be anywhere. If my morning routine takes 6 hours to work through, if my morning rhythms take 6 hours to go through every single item, that's not a big deal because the whole point is working through the things that set me up in order to be successful. So those are the things that I do to get out of a rut. There are pieces that I could go into more detail on. There are little nuances here and there that sometimes I will use. And if y'all want to hear more about that, I'm more than happy to like talk about those things as well. But these are my basic pieces that I use to get out of a rut. I hope that those things are helpful to you. I am currently working on getting out of a rut. So I am doing these things on a daily basis and tweaking them little by little until I get out of this rut. I will let you know how that goes. I'll let you know how it impacts my reading and my reading slump and everything else like that, because I'm hoping to come out of that as well. If you have tips and tricks for how you get out of a rut when you're feeling stuck, please leave those in the comments down below and maybe they will help somebody else. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.